guys, it's Maddie or Books with Maddie, and today we're talking about the future of deck of TBR. So, this video has been in the works since I posted my November mess of a video, and many people have been commenting about what I'm doing differently, whatnot. So I did want to say that I am seeing everybody's comments that they're posting on the video. I see literally every single one of them, and I appreciate them all. They're very overwhelming. I just have not had the chance to go and individually respond to every single one because there are a lot of comments, and each of them have very thorough suggestions of things that I can do differently with my deck of TBR. So I will be taking all of this into account. I actually made a list of all of the suggestions. I went through and wrote all of them down to kind of just see which ones I thought best fit the game and best fit what I thought the future of this game should be. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I can't provide you with an explanation that will be better than if you just go and watch the videos. So I have a TBR game that I do every month called Deck of TBR, where I use a deck of cards to choose what I'm going to read for the month. And recently it has been screwing me over in ways that nobody seems to be able to explain. So I have these punishments, which are if I get 2 of the same value in a row, so let's say I get 2 7s in a row, 2 2s in a row, anything like that, I have to pick an extra card. If I get 3 or more of the same card in a game, then I have to pick another card. If I get the exact same card, exact same value, exact same number, I have to pick another card. And is there another one? I think those are all of them. So those combinations of rules seems like a lot, but truthfully, I've seen other people do it with those exact same rules, and it's not that bad. But for some reason, recently, the past 3 months, it is just getting worse and worse with the cards. So the other problem with this is when I don't complete a book in a month, I transfer to next month. So not the exact same book, but just the number of books that I don't finish. So let's say in a month I'm supposed to read 8 books and I don't read 2 of them, then I would have to pick 2 more cards the next round of Deck of TBR. So the problem we're facing right now is just that I'm continually picking doubles, I'm continually picking 3 of the same number, I am getting the same cards over and over and over again. If you remember September Cursed Deck of TBR, I kept getting the 5 of Hearts. I got it an absurd number of times, and I have looked at the suggestions throughout the videos, I've shuffled differently, I've got a new deck of cards. Nothing seems to be working to make this any better, so we are down to the only option being I need to adjust the rules. And that's very frustrating, and I'm going to explain a little bit why. Basically, the reason this is so frustrating is because when you look at the ways in which rules affect the deck, it actually shouldn't affect it as much as it does. So the first couple months that I did Deck of TBR, I had to follow none of the rules. I got no punishment books whatsoever. I was able to pick 6 books, go on with my life and read those 6 books and do that. So the 6 books basically is every month I start off with a 6 book TBR. So that's the average number of books I believe I can read in a month. And I've been having to get from 14 to 20 books read in a month based on the last couple videos. So something does need to change, and it's frustrating to me that it needs to be the rules, because I mentioned this a lot in some of my other videos that I worked very, very hard to kind of solidify what the rules of Deck of TBR would be and the ways in which it would work. It is a very complicated game, I understand. It's only that complicated because I worked really, really hard on it, and so it's kind of frustrating that I have to change the rules because technically they shouldn't affect the game as much as it does. And I'm not saying that each time I shouldn't necessarily get a punishment because, it's bound to happen. When there are 3 of those rules, which do, often occur, the problem is that when I'm picking an absurd number of cards, 20, the likelihood of that happening increases. So if I'm just picking 6, then the likelihood of me getting those punishments is it might happen, it might not. You really, it's really hit or miss with that. But when you're picking 17 cards, then you're definitely going to get doubles at some point, you're definitely going to get triples, and you're definitely going to get cards that are the same value in a row. And so those punishments just start to add on. So I'm unsure if maybe I could do it at a certain point. The rules start to decrease. Some people were suggesting I put a cap on the number of books that I have to read in a month. I haven't honestly really decided what I'm going to do. I have a couple rules that I figured out what I'm going to change and stuff like that, but overall I'm really gonna see like how these changes work like over time. So that's really the plan right now. I did want to point out something though, because a lot of people are immediately going to change the rules, like you need to just change the rules, you need to just not read this number of books, and I will get to a little bit later what I am doing this month because this is the largest TBR yet with 20 books, and I don't want to change the rules, and that's like kind of a stubbornness on my part, and I am going to, I know I do have to do that this part, but I wanted to point out why it's so frustrating, because realistically, the rules aren't the problem. The problem is that I have to pick 20 cards, and the problem is that the rules continue to happen. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm gonna just explain it to you in literal facts. So I'm going to try to put the list of draws that I had for last month's deck of TBR. But as you can see, we got to the 9th draw, which we only had to do 10 draws last month. And once we got to the 9th draw, we had no doubles, we had no punishments whatsoever. So 9 seems to be the limit, like like that seems like a good threshold of like where you really shouldn't get any punishments, like it might happen once in a while, but if it does, it's not that big of a deal. Like that was another point I wanted to make really quickly. If you have 6 cards and you get a punishment, you have to add 1 more, so you have 7, not that big of a deal. Like I undershot, so I usually read about 9 to 10 books a month on average, and so I undershot with 6 when I made this game. I was like, I want to be able to read 6 books a month for this game, and then that way I have the freedom to read arcs that I receive or book club books or anything like that that I need to read within the month. Having these punishments, having these rules wasn't necessarily meant to get this big. It was just supposed to be like a fun thing that happened here and there and didn't really affect my mental health, which it is, and that's the crazy part. And that's when I realized I was getting a lot of comments of people saying, okay, like reading should never really be this stressful. It really should be more of a fun thing, a fun hobby, especially when you're doing it on YouTube, whatever. Like it really shouldn't be this stressful, and you're right. So as you can see, these are the draws that I received for last month, and the things that I wanted to point out most were this pattern that was like my 6th draw to my 10th draw, where it was 8 of diamonds, 10 of diamonds, 8 of clubs, 10 of diamonds, 8 of diamonds. I just thought that was a really weird thing. I also got 3 6s 2 months in a row, so this month I got 3 6s. I believe they are all, yes, they're all 6 of diamonds as well. And then last month for my October TBR, I also got 3 6s, which I just think is weird and creepy, and I don't really enjoy that. But in order to prove that this is just weird and really isn't supposed to happen, I don't know how to do statistics. I did kind of like testing trial runs. I'm gonna call them trial runs of recreating deck of TBR from last month. So I did 20 draws twice, and I shuffled the exact same way every time. So if you're wondering how I shuffle, I take the card that I just picked, I stick it in the middle, I then split the deck not at that card I've just put in. So I make sure that it's split in another place, whether it's before that card or after. I do the riffle shuffle 2 to 3 times. I do the, you know what I'm talking about? It's like a, I could just demonstrate with the cards, but they're far away. That kind of shuffle, and then I do the riffle shuffle again, then I do this again. I do it the same way every single time. It took a very extensive period of time, but I did it. And I did it twice. So I did 2 trial runs of doing that. And I calculated how many times I would get a punishment in that, and I'll put them here if I can. But I put how many punishments I would have gotten for those trial runs. So referencing last month, I got 10 punishments. So that's why I had to pick 20 books, because I started with 10. 10 of those were either doubles or triples or whatever it was that caused 10 punishment draws. In these 2 runs, I would have gotten 4 for the first one I did and 5 for the second one I did. So that's like, and I know it's like a little bit difficult to comprehend that, because technically if I was only picking 10, that I would have only had 15, and so like like the 20 draws is a little bit strange to like think about, but technically that means that there would only have been 5 punishments, therefore half of the punishments I received in November. Less than half, because technically if you're doing an average, it's 4.5, so that's less than half of the punishments I received in November, which doesn't make sense why I would have gotten 10. So then other people were saying, okay, use a random number, a random card shuffle generator situation. They're on Google, find them, use them instead of shuffling, just in case you're shuffling wrong, which I could be. I did that. I did 20 draws twice again, 2 trial runs of doing 20, and I made sure that there were 53 cards because there are 52 of the regular cards, 1 joker in my deck. I made sure there was 53 cards in the deck I was picking from, the normal 52 and then 1 joker. I picked 20 cards, and I also made sure that the cards went back into the deck, so you could, like I do with mine, I put my card back into the deck and I made sure that it was always out of 53. It was always able to pick doubles and things like that. The first time I did it, I got 6 punishments, so that, you know, boost the average back up to 5, and then the second time I did it, I got 5 again. So in conclusion, I got about 50% more punishments than I should have on average last month. And so to me, that kind of goes to show that perhaps the rules aren't the problem, because the same rules applied to all 4 of those trial runs, and I got half of the amount of punishments that I did during the actual game. Does that make sense? I really hope that makes sense. I hope I didn't explain it really terribly. I don't really know the language to use. I hope that demonstrates to you the frustration that I feel of why I got 10 punishments last month when on average I should have gotten 5. And 5 still would have been a lot. It would have been better than 10. So speaking of the 10 punishments I received last month, which added up to 20 whole punishments, I'm going to address that now. I'm not reading 20 books this month, and that's my conclusion. I'm absolutely not doing that. I was planning on it until I posted the video, and all the comments started rolling in of people saying, like, oh my gosh, there's good luck, you're not gonna read 20 books though. And I was like, okay, no one seriously expects me to do this. Like, it feels like we're all on the same page here, where we're like, it's unreasonable to expect me to read 20 books in a month, especially with school going on. I don't think I've ever read 20 books in a month. I think the most I have read is 18, which is close, but still not happening. That was during the summer. So I'm not reading the 20 books this month. I don't even know if I'm going to follow that TBR. I don't know what that means for December's TBR. I'm not sure if that means I'm going to start over with a clean slate. I'm not sure what that means. I think that's probably what I'm going to do. I honestly have to think about that more, but I'm not going to try to read 20 books. I have an insane amount of work this month, and I'm not reading 20 books. I have finished 1 book this month, and it was a book that I was supposed to finish in October. So, I'm not reading 20 books. We're already clear. There's no way in the timeline that I have, no way I'm going to be able to read 20 books at this point. So I'm thinking I'm just going to start over with a clean slate in December. We're going to try again. And so now we're going to get to the rule changes, what I'm going to actually implement into the new game. There were lots and lots of really, really helpful comments. Now, here's where I run into a conundrum about changing the rules. So let's say in December I decide to start over with a clean slate, no punishments from past TBRs. I will just pick 6 books. The punishments aren't going to happen. They're not going to come up. So it doesn't make sense for me to necessarily change those. I'm thinking perhaps I will change those if they get to an extreme like 20. So like for example, in September, I believe that started off with just six draws. And so like in that case, when it was like building up to 17, I think I would cap it or like do something different. I'm not sure. I think I would maybe cap it or change the rules to like if I get 3 of the same instead of 2 of the same or things like that. The other rule that I'm definitely implementing though is if I get a card where I get double punishments, I'm only doing 1. So I had never thought of this before. I don't know why, but somebody commented it and I was like, yes, this is a great idea. So multiple people might have commented, I don't remember. Let's say for example, I pick a 2, a 4, a jack, a 5, a jack, and a jack, okay? So that's 3 jacks. That would be a punishment because I got 3 jacks, and also a punishment because I got 2 jacks in a row. So in the past, I would have picked 2 cards because that final jack would have constituted 2 separate punishments, but I'm not doing that anymore. I would pick 1 card, and that's that. I don't have the energy to do 2 punishments for 1 punishment. No. In addition, a lot of people suggested that I put more positive prompts on the actual board. So something like to the effect of a get out of jail free card. I actually have been considering different kinds of prompts for a while. I did mention in my last Effective TBR video that there were going to be some changes to the board in the new year. I'm not sure how that's going to work now because we're still trying to fix what's going on now, so I'm not sure how many new changes will be implemented. I do still want to make it look prettier, and I'm determined to do that, but I don't know how many new changes. I have been working on some new prompts that might, you know, be actually beneficial instead of detrimental. That's another thing that I'm going to be considering, kind of like a maybe a take one away card, like a take away a book card or something like that. But then at the same time, let's say I'm only picking 6 books, I don't really need to take away one book. Like, what if I want to read all of the books? Then I would just feel like a waste. You know what I mean? So like that's another thing that I'm kind of warring with. And then another idea was I would add 1 punishment for every 2 books I didn't read. I think that's a really good idea, especially if I have a TBR that's crazy, like 16 or 17 books. That would be really helpful to only add 1 book per every 2. And obviously that would be for bigger TBRs. So depending on how I do this month, which I am still going to try to read some of the books off of the TBR. I might do that next month, I'm not sure. But yeah, so honestly, this didn't really answer a lot of the questions that were brought up, but I did want to kind of address the fact that I'm not going to be actively making an effort to read the 20 books this month. I'm going to be trying to read as much as I can, as I always do, but I'm not going to be, you know, putting myself through what I put myself through for the past couple months in order to fulfill a TBR that I already know I won't be able to complete. So yeah, honestly, I don't have all the answers right now. I'm gonna kind of go with the flow, see how it goes in December, see what happens, see what changes. But yeah, I believe that's all I wanted to say for this video. Thank you for your continued support for my deck of TBR videos. I know they're chaotic and crazy and very lengthy, but I really do appreciate all of the support. Thank you again for 500 subscribers. We're actually almost at 600, which is crazy. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great week, and I hope you have a great life. I will see you very, very soon. Bye-bye.